I just can't say thank you enough for all the support that you've given me over this past month and over the course of my life. All of you have helped me and pushed me and made it so that I can be better and do better and just help people out. So without further ado, here's the presentation. So recently I went to an event called What's Your Everest? And at that event, the event is designed so that whether there's physical mountains in your life or emotional, physical, that you can overcome your obstacles, that your disability doesn't have to define who you are. And so I feel like that's a really good message, and I'm glad that this hike came about, and I'm glad that my mom took me on it and surprised me with it. What is No Barriers? So No Barriers is an organization. It was started in 2005 by Dave Scherna and Erik Weihenmeyer. It was an organization that they just wanted to help people, and they wanted to make it so that even if you can't do something, you can still, that you're empowered to do it, that you're able to overcome the obstacle and able to complete the challenge. And so this past two weeks ago, there was a hike, and No Barriers is they're just a really good organization, and I'm really glad that I got to go. What does No Barriers focus on? No Barriers focuses on disabled veterans, schools and educators, corporate leadership, and the No Barriers Summit. So with the veterans part, there's this program called the Warriors Program, and it empowers veterans to overcome their obstacles, get through their challenges in their lives, and just know that they're not alone, and that people that they're there to help them out. Whether they were in combat, or they have PTSD, or they were harmed in war, or just stuff like that, that you can make it through it. You have what it takes to just be yourself and find yourself again, and know that life's not over just because you have challenges. Everyone has challenges, and that's what makes everyone different, is their challenge. What kind of people were at No Barriers? So there were people that were deaf, there were people that were blind, there were people that were paraplegic, Yep. And there were people that were going through challenges emotionally, or that they were having relationship troubles, or just stuff like that you don't think about, but that's still a big part of what No Barriers is. That if, no matter what your challenge is, no matter what you are going through, that you have no barriers in your life, that you can overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. No Barriers experiences. So these are the people that have gone through the No Barriers program, maybe recommended a friend or two, and they've gone through the program, and they're really wanting to share their stories, that other people find the No Barriers program, and so that they know that what's within them is stronger than what's in their way. And that's also the No Barriers slogan. So there is this girl, her name is Narissa, and so on Sunday, September 16th, Narissa Cannon summoned her first Colorado 14er. Narissa is in a wheelchair and cannot use her legs, but that wasn't going to stop her. For 7 brutal miles, Nerissa found a path forward. Over rocks, through loose dirt, and willows, to the summit of Mount Bersida. 27 people from different parts of Colorado rallied together, many of whom Nerissa had not known before that day, to help her reach the top. For Nerissa, this accomplishment is only the beginning. Her goal is to roll across the United States next summer, starting on the West Coast, following Route 66 to Chicago, and then to Boston. She'd be the first woman to cross the country in a wheelchair. When I saw this story, I was really amazed that even though she was in a wheelchair, even though that she couldn't use her legs, that she climbed a mountain. She had help, but it was her determination and her forward thinking that made her climb that mountain and overcome the obstacle of being in a wheelchair, and that doesn't define who she is, that you can overcome the obstacles and challenges in your life. So the next person I found this is really interesting to me. So, Barbara Henry is a single mother of a 15-year-old autistic boy named Justin. Barbara Lee is legally blind and wants to empower herself and Justin to function to their fullest capacity in their community. Whether it is navigating travel, dealing with different points of view and opinions, she wants to teach her son to advocate for himself. From her time at No Barrier Summit at Copper Mountain, she had the opportunity to get her spark back and truly get a sense of experiencing this amazing social, physical, and empowering summit. This one hit close to home for me because I'm legally blind, and knowing the challenges of being legally blind and hiking a mountain, I couldn't imagine that until I did it 2 weeks ago. I didn't think that it was really, that I was able to do it. But then 2 weeks ago, when we climbed the mountain, I overcame that. I knew that I could do it. And this story encompasses pretty well what the challenges are and that you can overcome your challenges. What did I do on my trip? So, we climbed a mountain, we met some amazing people, set a record for the most blind and visually impaired people to hike for No Barriers, hiked with my role model, Erik Weihenmeyer, he's the best, met deaf singer Mandy Harvey, made a lot of new friends, spent time with my mom, explored the Colorado area, walked around 12 miles by the end of the entire trip. So the hike was 6.4 miles, but we probably walked a lot more than that, just walking around Colorado, and then the stuff that we did before and after. So my No Barriers experience. My No Barriers experience was a really fun one. I got to meet my role model, Erik Weihenmeyer, who you can see up on the screen. And what I thought was cool about him was that he lost his sight at age 14. And he lost it 2 weeks before he went into high school. So imagine that transition. New school, maybe not knowing very many people, and no sight. That would be a really hard one, wouldn't you think? But he overcame that, and at age 35, he climbed Mount Everest. And then he thought, hey, I can do more. So then he climbed the 7 summits, the 7 highest places on every continent. And then he solo kayaked the Grand Canyon. And then that's the point that I thought, that's really cool, and that just because he's blind, just because people have told him he can't do it because of his vision, made it so that he did it. he overcame the people that were saying, hey, you can't do that. You're blind. You're not supposed to be able to do that. That spark, that saying, made it so that he did it. So these are some pictures from the hike. Erik is a very down-to-earth, yeah. We hiked to the halfway point, and we waited for everyone to get there, to get to the midway point. I thought the coolest part of the whole thing was knowing that even if you were in a wheelchair and it took you an hour to get to the halfway point, that everyone waited. This is a really cool thing because just because you had the challenge of being in a wheelchair or being blind or not being able or not having done this in the past, that they waited for everyone. Even if it took you an hour to get up to the top, that they waited for you. And then we spent time after that just getting to know people, getting to spend time at the halfway point, saying, hey, we made it halfway. Only 1.5 miles to go. And so I thought that was a really cool thing that we did. So here's some more pictures from the hike. There's some more pictures. This picture is at the halfway point. So it's me and my mom, and we just made it up, and which I thought was really cool. And then at the top, we talked about, there's people that spoke, and one of them is named Aaron Hale. One of the people that spoke was Aaron Hale. His story is that he was in the Army and Navy for 16 years. He was a Navy cook, and then he became an EOD technician. When he was defusing a known bomb, an unnoticed bomb blew up. He lost his eyesight and also a considerable amount of his hearing. After that, in 2013, he climbed a mountain for no barriers. In 2015, though, tragedy struck again. He got meningitis in his head and lost his remaining amount of his hearing. For 6 months, he was completely deafblind. So, silent world, dark world. So, for 6 months, he couldn't hear or see. But he later had implants in his ear so that he could hear a little bit. But after that, a few months later, he started a chocolate company. Just something any deafblind person would do. Just start up a chocolate company. And so he changed. EOD stands for explosive. I can't remember what it stands for, but what he changed it to is extraordinary delights. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so this is at the top. The picture on the right is at the very top, and there's mountains in the background, which is really cool. And then the picture on the left is all the people that made it to the top. There were around 150 people that made it up to the top. Not everyone made it, because if I'm being honest, that hike was really hard. And so, just not having done really anything like this before, that you'd hike a little bit, then you'd have to stop and catch your breath because the air kept getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And then finally, at 12,456 feet, we made it to the top.